And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and grateful for you to be with us here all around the country and all around the world. You'll find us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And we are very excited. I'm very excited this morning to, inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, welcome the guests that we have set up for you. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. We're going to start the show off with Mr. Lester, Tim Lester, joining me. This man has, we talk about the show being all over the country. Well, if I have listeners in every part of the country, it's because Tim, I'm going to give him a little credit, because when he bounces around to a different place, I go, okay, I'm going to pull a little Purdue, I'm going to pull a little Iowa, I'm going to pull a little bit of this Green Bay. But we always have a good time with Tim. He'll be up in a second. And then Bearcat Breakroom is going to be featuring Lytoya Baker, who obviously spent her time at Moyne playing women's basketball and was a key cog in the wheel of a lot of success over the last few years. And now she is jumping into the coaching world, being on staff as a video coordinator for the Binghamton Bearcats. And she'll be joining me following that news. And we'll have the ingredients to success presented by Avicolli's, as we always do, to round out the Tuesday broadcast. So, Tim, you know, I've worked very hard to be all around the country, and thanks to you making the stops that you make, you've made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I've been moving around a little bit. That's part of the profession, I think.
No, but to me, it's not even, you know, it's like when you move, you have worked to obviously build those relationships, make those connections. You've been a coordinator, you've been an assistant coach, you've been a head coach. You know, you just worked recently with the Green Bay Packers in the NFL. To me, there's something to be said about the resume that you have and the places that you've been. Do you feel that? Do you feel like from every place you've gone to, something has been added to the toolbox, so to speak?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, that's what you do it for, right? It's no different than building a football team, as far as you just want people with a growth mindset that are always trying to learn something. And sometimes you go into something you don't even know what you're going to learn. You know, I'm obviously sitting next door now to Coach Kirk Ferentz. There's plenty to learn from him, and I've already learned a ton in my 5 months here. And being in the NFL with the Packers organization was a blast. Something totally new for me, but I learned a ton. So just trying to continue to find ways to get better and put our guys in good positions, and enjoy the ride too.
And to go back to that time with the Green Bay Packers and the success that, you know, was there, obviously making it to the postseason. You're a quarterback guy. You played quarterback in college. You know the offensive side of the ball when you were with the Green Bay Packers, and studying the defensive side of the ball and getting to kind of see all those angles. I mean, to me, having been a head coach, being an offensive mind, having played on offense, and then with the Packers to get to know the defensive side even more, I got to ask you this. I know that you just showed up a few months ago in Iowa, but I would imagine the experience you just got is going to make you an even more seasoned mind in the head coach world as well.
Well, that remains to be seen. But I'm excited. I really enjoy running offense. You know, you start doing something that you love doing, coaching quarterbacks, running offenses. Then you get a chance to be a head coach, which makes it really hard, you know, when you're being a head coach to run an offense if you're not surrounded by the right, people. Obviously, Andy Reid does it. It's different in the NFL. It's encouraged to be the offensive play caller and head coach. I think the reason it's encouraged so much at the NFL level is that if you're a defensive head coach and you get an offensive play caller that's really good, he's gone.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take long, and he'll be a head coach in 2 seconds. So if you want any kind of stability, offensive play callers slash head coaches are coveted at that level. So I'm excited because I just think I have way better understanding of what defenses are doing after spending a year on the defensive side. Even though I was the offensive analyst for the defense,
Yeah.
so I studied the offensive guys, and I would help the defense know what's coming. But still, I got to hear what they were going to do to defend it, and how they were going to stop the plays that I was telling them were going to be run against them. And so it was a great opportunity. I can't wait to. And now we're going against arguably, I mean, the guy on my other wall over here he just won the Broyles Award for the #1 assistant coach in the country for his defense, and we get to go against him every single day. So there's never an easy day when you're going against an Iowa defense.
Well, and when you look at this, how this all kind of came together, you and I have spoken since your time at Syracuse, and we've talked about the road really from there to here, over a decade's time. So how did this chapter happen? How do you go from the Green Bay Packers to being an Iowa Hawkeye?
Well, there was a lot of family conversation. There's a couple opportunities to stay in the NFL as a quarterback coach at a couple of places, and then Coach Ferentz called and kind of threw a wrench into all of it. The opportunity to be here, work for him, was something me and my wife decided was going to be best for us and our family. I really enjoyed the NFL. It was an awesome year, and I do think, but before the journey's all over, I would like to be back there again at some point. But we just felt like for our family right now, we have a bunch of kids that are in middle school and going into high school, and we thought that this would be a great place to send them to high school and hopefully be here long enough to finish their academic careers before they go off and start their own journey.
So it sounds like to me, when you talk about that and you talk about the boys, that there's a hope of spending a few years here in Iowa.
Yeah, that's always the plan. I think. I have as a head coach, you run into a lot. People leave, right? Especially in the MAC. So you'd have a good coach and they get jobs, right? That happens in the MAC all the time. So
Yeah.
the one thing I always tell my assistant coaches is you can't control timing, right? They'd always feel bad when they'd come in and tell me they got, my offensive coordinator left to go to Texas Tech. And he was like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, "Dude, I'm excited for you. This is a great opportunity." But you can't control any of that stuff. So, but I think you always make the decision as a family, looking at longevity, and if things change, they change, right? And you'll have that conversation as a family as well when that happens. It's crazy in this profession. It happens in 24 hours, sometime in December and January. It's crazy, 24 hours, but yeah, that was a huge factor in the decision between the couple options we had.
And when you go through this, and like you said, you're making this decision with your family and you're trying to figure out the right decision and look at the factors, there's things that you obviously can't control, right? But there's things that you can assess, and you've spent so much time in the game and around the game and coaching the game. Are there things that you feel like in a world where it seems like a chaotic whirlwind where nothing can be figured out, do you feel like after all these years you can anticipate better, or when you're making a decision you look for something that maybe somebody just coming into the profession doesn't look for?
Yeah, I do think you gain more wisdom over time, right? So I would put it that way. Doesn't mean you're going to be right, but I do think you're a better decision maker the more you do it, and that's where when you look at all the different factors of what a team has, as an offensive coordinator, there's certain things that are huge in being good, and running the ball to me is the linchpin for everything. I mean, it's the our grenade pin that if you can run the ball, man, you can be explosive.
Yeah.
And they've done that here very well, and they haven't been as explosive with it, but but you start looking for the little things that really matter for your immediate success. Having a top 10 defense always helps, and so you start looking at the things that are very important, instead of you looking at the stadium and how big the school is. You really think more about the opportunity to have success there, and you do look at it with a different lens on.
Yeah, and in going through this process, like you said, I mean, you have your family, and people talk about it all the time that, the person that you're married to, your kids, like everybody kind of has to understand the ebb and flow in all this because you try to be prepared, like you said, having the knowledge and the wisdom, but you never really know. So when you went to your family and you had these conversations and you're sitting there with your wife and you're thinking, hey, there's some opportunities in the NFL. There's an opportunity to go back to college. College football is very different now in the sense of the X's and O's are the same, but there's all this other, ancillary stuff kind of just spinning around and orbiting. So when you sat down with your wife this time, did she look at you and go, Tim, NIL, portal, there's a lot. Like, did you have that conversation?
Yeah, we did discuss that and the recruiting and just the time away from home that you spend on the road in college that you don't in the NFL. So yeah, we discussed all of it, and I don't think anyone really knows where it's going. I do think it's going in a good. I think it's going to be better. They kind of let the cat out of the bag a couple of years ago, and it's just been chaos ever since. And I think we are in the process of turning the corner and starting to get back to whatever the new normal is going to be. Yeah. And I don't know how many years that's going to take, but it's definitely different. I think it's more, it's becoming more of a professional type sport. And I think it's great for the game. The more those two leagues get closer together, I think you're going to see better football, and so I'm all a big proponent of making those two games as similar as humanly possible so that we can continue to develop players and they'll be ready for the next level, and you get better NFL football, you'll have better college football. And so they're really, and man, it's changing at a wild clip. Like, I think they're voting on a couple things today that you'll have time to talk about tomorrow, because it's daily. Like, have they voted on that one yet? I haven't heard. And how many committees does it have to go through? Because it'll get passed by one committee in the spring.
Yeah.
Everyone will talk about something's going to happen, and then it gets shot down in June. So just keeping the knees bent and ready for whatever's coming next.
Tim Lester here with us inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with the Iowa Hawkeyes Offensive Coordinator. Like you said, I think it's getting better. I don't know how much time it'll take. What is happening? What steps have been taken that make you think that we're... Because essentially I wrote an article and I said, we're going to keep going back to the same thing in collegiate athletics unless they start building a fence around the barn to keep the horses from getting out every night. So if you think it's getting better, what things are happening to make you think that this fence is starting to go around the transfer portal, go around NIL? I mean, there's been so much change in such a short amount of time. And when everybody was sitting at home during COVID times and a pandemic staring at the wall, a million things just kind of blew open and realignment blew open again. So you're telling me, hey, Dan, I don't know how far away the end of the tunnel is, but I can see the light. What makes you see the light?
I think the biggest thing is when we start, was it August of 25? Is that when we start the revenue sharing?
Okay.
Once we get the model correct,
Yeah.
All the auxiliary things that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Once Congress and the NCAA get on the same page for the first time ever, if they're actually, if the people making decisions agree with our structure and our model, then they're going to start, helping us with some of these things to try to build a wall. You know what I mean? And but right now, there is, like you said, it's a fence, it's a picket fence where the picket, and I know I'm not in those meetings in any way, shape, or form, but I hear from what's going on in them that I think that is going to be when the two big bodies between the NCAA and Congress are on the same page.
Yeah.
Uh, anything's possible, but that's never happened. So that's the one, right? That's the one that the only two entities that can control everything are those two, right? And if they ever get on the same page, then they can get rid of whatever they want, But if they're not on the same page, if the right hand and the left hand are on different pages, then we don't have a prayer. But I feel like we're getting once they pass this thing, which I think they have August 25th. Now they're going to figure out what we're going to do moving forward, and you'll actually have the NCAA might actually have some teeth, for the first time, and it'll be great to see what they can do moving towards the light, with some backing, right, which they haven't had before.
Yeah, and to go through what we're talking about here, the revenue sharing attorneys and commissioners had agreed to use an average of power conference revenue streams as a sort of formula to determine an annual revenue sharing limit. They took three of the most significant streams: TV contracts, ticket sales, and sponsorships. Donations were not included, to generate an average for the 69 power schools. The average, according to documents obtained by Yahoo Sports, is about 100 million. And so the revenue sharing short answer is 22% of the average athletic department revenue. So in this case, it would be $21 to $22 million annually to share. And my question becomes back to you, Tim. If we're living in a time where there's been this like weird thing with college and recruiting because there was extra COVID years, and there's a dip in enrollment or people that were getting scholarships, then it's our kids necessarily wanting to go to college. And then the notion that the government said it's all going to be free, which I always think is fun because someone pays for that, typically taxpayers. And so when you look at all these things going on, and then you say to colleges and universities that are already strained, because not everybody is Texas A&M, and not everybody, not everyone's in the Big Ten and the SEC, and not everybody has Alabama money. So when you look at everything a college and university goes through, the strain that they have, the lowering in enrollment, colleges and universities closing, and then you tell them, hey, you need to now allocate $20 million plus that you used to line pockets with or give to this or buy, you used to erect this building to get people to come to this school. Now, instead of erecting a building, I need you to hand this to an 18-year-old. Is that good? I mean, I'm all about them getting something, but if we're taking money away from schools that are already saying that they're losing money, how do we generate enough revenue that them giving up $20 million, they could somehow find it somewhere else?
Yeah, that's going to be athletic departments are going to look different. I don't know whether it's cutting sports, limiting the amount of student athletes in each sport, but it's definitely going to have to change. There's 53 man rosters in the NFL. Most teams have 130, 120, 140. In college, I bet that's going to change to a lower number, which will save, schools some money. And then the schools are going to have to be smart about what they do, but the revenue sharing is something that at least is going, the schools are making a lot of money off this TV money and all the things you mentioned, but, giving it to the student athletes that are out there and playing, and helping earn that money is going to be a huge step, towards it. Really, for me, it's really about getting Congress on board with us. So if people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and the NCAA comes after them, then Congress will have their back.
Yeah.
Because that's never happened. So some of I really appreciate the stuff you said earlier about the transfer portal and the NIL and all the stuff that's kind of off the rails right now, and if this is the way to give it the best chance to get back on, I think it'll be good. I'm happy for the players. Now, all the logistics of how you get this to work, man, I can only imagine the amount of lawyers that are involved in this thing. and it won't be perfect. I mean, I used to, you understand, like 15 years ago, I used to sit around and I'd always say that, we have not been changing at all. I mean, college football went like 20 years without making, there was a time where I could get on Twitter and message a kid, but I couldn't text him, which is the same thing. I just had to hit the app and I could talk to him as many times as I wanted on the Twitter direct messenger, but I couldn't text yet because we were just so far behind in making changes in the football realm. Because you put that many coaches, type A personalities in a room, 130 of them, and get them to try to agree on something, that never happens, and now we're on the opposite side. Now we're catching up and we're willing to try anything to try to save it, and so I think that's a better mindset to be in. We're going to make some terrible mistakes, but at least we're moving. It's like having players. I always tell, you get players that graduate from your school and they're like, I really don't know what I want to do. And my biggest advice is always like, get your first job, and go work. And that might not be the job you want, but at least you're moving forward. And then you're at that job and you meet somebody and you're like, hey, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I do this. And then but you meet people and then you get another job and another job. And it's, it's crazy to watch the guys work through, jobs, trying to figure out what they want to do with their life, but you got to be moving. You can't just sit in one place and live at home and wait till the perfect job comes along. Right. So I feel like we're moving in the right direction, and it's good, and it's going to be ugly, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
So, I mean, you played quarterback. You know that quarterback is highly coveted in football in general, no matter what the level is. With NIL now and the transfer portal, what made you want to go back into recruiting? Because you and I talked last year, and it was like you said, don't have to be on the road as much. You get certain time off. But now you're recruiting, and you might call up a kid, and let's call him Steve Persons. So we call up Steve Persons, and we go, hey, Steve, saw your film. Awesome guy, and appreciate everything that you're doing. Tim Lester, love for you to come play for Iowa. And Steve says, well, how much money am I going to get? Hold on, I just got a call from Miami. They're offering $100K. Can you offer me $105? And then he goes, wait a minute, I just got a text from the Gators, and the Gators are telling me I'm going to get $250K. So now where are we at, Tim? Like, how do we keep, because you're a relationship guy, you're a guy who builds things. You and I have known each other for over a decade, so I can speak to the fact that you honor relationships you value. So how do we keep that happening in a world where you're recruiting a quarterback and some of it's going to be about money to people? Then let's say you get the quarterback, you get the diamond in the rough, and so now you get off the phone with Steve and you call Chris Smith, and Chris Smith is all about coming and playing for you. You were the first offer. You saw him. You just you really leaned into him and you believed in him. And 2 years being at Iowa, he gets a phone call from 75% of the SEC, other teams in the Big Ten, gets a call from Clemson, gets a call from Florida State, and you've essentially done the recruiting for them. How do we handle that world if you're a relationship guy and you're a guy that's developmental and you're someone who really wants to know these kids and help these kids and grow these kids? How do we do that when coaches are calling them? And I don't want there to be any fairy tale sunshine rainbow thing that people think that they're not contacting people to say to get in the portal. So how do we do that? And for you as an offensive coordinator, when it's a running back or a wide receiver, an offensive lineman or a quarterback, when you know some of it's going to be about the money to these guys, and sometimes even if you get the guy, you're not going to necessarily keep the guy because he's going to shake hands at the end of the game with a coach on the field and he's going to go, hey, you can come play for Ohio State. We can make that happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that is something that we have to work through. I do love, and I wouldn't have said this a year ago, I do love the NFL model. I mean, having been in a building, coaches don't make those calls.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a whole other department on the second floor in Lambeau that does all that, and it allows the coaches and the players to be on the same side. You know what I mean? Because it's very difficult when you merge those two things, right? And all of a sudden, I'm trying to coach him, I'm trying to help him get better. But in the NFL, like when we're coaching those guys, I hope they get everything they can get, and they hope I get everything I can get. And if they're going to get a phone call, they're not going to get it from a coach. It's going to happen. I mean, it's already they're voting on it again soon. That pretty soon they're letting other people on the road. They're letting some of the personnel department people on the road. And I do think that will be a heavy piece of this thing. I prefer it that, that I do not want to talk money with any of the players, and nor can I or will I. If that ever comes up, that's not my department. I'm here to work with you, try to make you the best quarterback I can make you. And then I don't know even know who's I was just point down the hall, say that you can talk about that down there. But I do think the NFL model we have as a college football changing world that we're in, we have an opportunity to look at a very successful model that's in the NFL. Yeah. And we're not going to be exactly the same, but man, I would like to see us get really darn close, where we have people on the road scouting, and when we're playing, we can still have scouts on the road. That'd be great. And they're the ones managing this 22%. And where does it go? And, the other part that intrigues me about it is think about the parity you could potentially have if there was some type of number, if there was some type of number that is the cap number.
Yeah.
And that team that just won the national championship they're maxed out. So the next kid coming out, they can only give him a certain amount. So now all of a sudden you have guys, because of money, like you said, that are going to different schools because those schools have more cap room than other schools. And all of a sudden the parity starts happening. And it would be great for college football to have the parity that the NFL does. All of a sudden you're going to have, I forget the exact number, but it's something like 87% of games come down to one score games in the NFL. There's no blowouts, rarely, and it would be awesome. It would fix a lot of those problems if we did have some type of cap, and if you did have personnel departments that are definitely talking to the coaches, but I never felt it in those rooms in Green Bay. Like we are all on the same page, hoping for each other because we knew the people upstairs are the ones making all those decisions. So I think it'd be great if we get to that point. Right now, that's murky water when your position coach is also the one determining, if there's talk between pay and your coach that's coaching you, it's going to be a bumpy road. It's a gravel road. It's not a paved road, that to get to the light, it's going to be through the weeds. And there's going to be a bunch of things that happen here, I think, in the next couple of years that, maybe even the portal, like, I don't know what's going to happen with it. There's definitely going to be opportunities for guys to leave and go other places. And, but, I don't know if I think everything's going to look different in a couple of years, but it's going to be, I think they have a great model to choose from. And I hope they keep leaning into that because that's been around a long time and it's very successful the way it works. When you add sports and money in the same room, that happens only in a couple of places, and those places, at least in the NFL, they do a great job.
Yeah, and essentially what you talked about was with the revenue sharing, we would have a salary cap, which would say once you've spent your $22 million, you've spent it. It's gone. You can't have more. And so if you spend it on two players, and if if you're LSU and you spend it on two players, and Oregon spends it on 10 and Syracuse gets 15 out of it, once the money's gone, it's gone. We're talking salary cap. Free agency is insane in collegiate athletics now. I mean, I've told people this. I go, I want to paint the picture of college football to you in case it doesn't make sense to you. In case you're not seeing how wild this is. Trevor Lawrence cannot be a Jaguar this year, then a Charger, then a Brown, and then a Cowboy. He can't be on 4 teams in 4 years unless everybody wants to sign a 1-year deal. If he signs a 5-year extension like he did with Jacksonville on top of his current contract, he can't go, yeah, but I kind of feel like I want to play for 3 other teams and then I'll come back. free agency, salary cap. I mean, are we not already going toward the NFL? The thing that I think is wily, though, is a college kid can go to four schools in 4 years, or four schools in 5 years, or five schools in 4 years, and they never have to sit out. So by the time they go to the NFL and they sit down with the Kansas City Chiefs and they say, we're going to sign this 4-year contract, they're going, wait a minute. What if I want to leave after this year? Because their mentality is I can leave whenever I want to. So we do have things that are NFL-esque happening in college football, but there's not as many parameters because what would you do if Jordan Love every few months is like, I think I'm going to jump in the NFL portal. I don't know if I want to be here in week 7. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, and it's just exciting that we're starting to do some of those things, right? We don't have any of the guardrails to make it clean, nice, and efficient like we'd all like it to be, but we're moving once again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's happening. So it'll be, and I think a lot of that stuff, every time people challenged it went, it went to Congress and we lost. So what happens when it goes and we win? And the reason we always lost is because no matter what else was going on, they didn't agree with the model.
Yeah.
So then they agree with the model and someone goes after this school or this guy and we can't do that. And it's hard to have rules that you can't enforce. And if we get to the point where we can, like the NFL has rules and they can enforce them. I mean, I really enjoyed being in the building because I knew exactly the rules. If a kid was late, he was losing his own money. I mean, that was it. It was simple. It was, you got fined. The people upstairs are going to fine you. Like it was so clear and concise on what you could and couldn't do. And we're trying to get to that point, but we're just, like I said, the cat just got let out. So it's just the very beginning of this whole thing. But I'm just happy that it's moving that direction. You can see these are things that we, a decade ago when we were together at Syracuse, we would have never pictured any of this going on. And now it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, it is out of control going, which is cool, I think. And because then we're going to put the guardrails on and move forward. And I think we're all, every guardrail we put up, as long as it can be defended, we'll make it better, but I think it's heading. It's like, it's not going to be pretty, but it's heading.
Here with Tim Lester on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Iowa Hawkeyes Offensive Coordinator. I spoke for a second there about Jordan Love, but being a former quarterback and knowing that position so very well, what was that piece of it like? Being in that building with Jordan Love. I know when you and I spoke about going into the season, you're like, essentially, we're talking about dispelling rumors that people weren't excited about this guy and that they shouldn't be excited. We were talking about his footwork. We were talking about, different things that he does with his body mechanically, what you like about him, what you think can happen. And then you're on a Green Bay staff that goes to the postseason. You're on a Green Bay staff that absolutely annihilates the Cowboys on the road, which was that game was over in the first quarter, probably the second drive. So having spent time with Jordan Love now, reflecting on that and being a guy who has gotten to work with so many different quarterbacks and be around so many different quarterbacks and learn from them, what's the Jordan Love factor in your wheelhouse now?
I think the thing that helps him, I mean, obviously there's the physical tools, like, he's got Tom Clements coaching quarterbacks there, who's, like the John Wooden of quarterback coaches, and has had, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and now Jordan Love. But his demeanor is special. I mean, just all the greats have that, calm demeanor no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
We did not have a great start to the year. That we had one of the youngest wide receiving cores in the history of the NFL, the youngest tight end core. Every single tight end was a rookie. And they just kept at it. When we were 2-5, you would have never known it in the building. And the quarterback kind of sets that tone. He's the tone setter. And he came in every day, same guy. And they just got a little bit better, And then once we won the first game in the second half of the season, then we went on a roll at that point. Then the offense started clicking. They had faith, even through the dark times, everything outside the the facility. I mean, we were the same group,
Yeah.
and it was fun once we got over the hump. We just kept getting better and better and better, and he got better and better, and the receivers got better. And the thing about offenses, it's that piece of the puzzle, the quarterback piece, is the most important piece. But everything's got to be on time. Everybody from the offensive line to the tight ends to the running backs to the wideouts. And once we started hitting that rhythm, it was fun. And then when we had a ton of success, he still didn't change. Like he was still the same guy. And so I think that's what makes him super unique. I took the offensive staff here at Iowa up to Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it might have been a month ago now, about a month ago. And so they got a chance to see it, and see and meet all the coaches and watch Jordan play. And he's the same guy still. Man, he loves to compete. He's just fun to be around. And I think everyone sees it now. They haven't seen it because he was behind Aaron for such a long time. But he's always he has this growth mindset every single day, whether he was the starter or not. And so I think they again have another good one that which they always seem to
Yeah.
up there. And that can help them win games. And I think he's just scratched the surface of what they can do, especially with that receiving core, because they're all young and they're all back and they're all getting better. It'll be exciting to watch them the next couple of years.
Well, you talk about Green Bay having a good quarterback. You have the opportunity to become the offensive coordinator. You say yes. What's in the cupboard here at quarterback? And as we get ready for fall camp, what can you tell us about the gentleman under center in Iowa and what you saw and what you're excited about?
Well, obviously, everyone knows Cade McNamara. He played at Michigan and then he transferred here. He ended up, I think he won a Big Ten championship. I forget what year that was. And then got in a battle with JJ. JJ, won the job, I think. And then he transferred here, got hurt last year. So he did not get to do spring drills.
Yeah.
He just came back. He's got cleared this summer, so watching him move around and run some drills. I've got to work with him a couple times now. He was basically my assistant coach in the spring. Just stood next to me as we watched practice. And so it's exciting. He's back. He's healthy. Everything looks pretty good. We went out and brought in some other, we got two different guys off the portal to come compete. They're learning. They've only been here a couple of weeks, but I think they're pretty talented and hard workers. So it's definitely, it's great to have a guy that's won a Big Ten championship game and that has experience and that understands what we're trying to get accomplished. And it's also great to put some pieces behind him to, compete. And so it's a good room. The rest of the group they're pretty much all back. The O-line, the running backs, tight ends. Obviously, we have a couple of those, more than I've seen at many places. And then we have a young, talented wide receiver core. So it's fun, but everything's new. I mean, they're learning, they're working hard. We're not, our system that we're bringing in is all tied together. So it's not like you can merge it with another one, so it's new formations, new shifts, new huddle, new everything. Like there's nothing that is carried over, so it's a lot of learning and the guys have been excited about it. And we're, I don't know, 4 months into it, but we only got a couple months left to get it ready, get it right, and they did have a good spring. Spring was going to be huge for us to just pick up the tempo and the pace of the offense and the plays. And so it's been good so far. And we're looking forward I'm excited to get Cade back and watch him in the fall and then develop the two new guys we brought in.
Yeah, and like you said, you're bringing in your system. You're bringing in what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it. So in that, how has that evolved from over a decade ago when you and I met at Syracuse and I'm watching this Leicester offense come together? What has it grown to be? I obviously know that there's different things over time that you pick out and say, I don't need that. I want that. I'm going to do this. I mean, you're constantly working on the ship, so to speak. So what does that look like today? I mean, essentially, as you put together the Iron Man suit of the Iowa Hawkeyes, what are we taking out? What are we putting in? What's helping this thing fly? What can you tell us about your offense now after I've gotten to watch, the evolution and kind of the things you were doing way back when? What is this one going to look like?
Yeah, I think it's yeah, how do I say it? I think it all depends on where you're at the time, right? So when I went to Syracuse, I was a quarterback coach, so we ran whatever the offensive coordinator wanted to run, and I got to be the coordinator for 1 year and start installing some of our stuff. It never got then Dungy got hurt, and well, T Hunt got hurt, and then Dungy got hurt, and we ended up playing the officer Zach Mahoney, and then the offense looked a lot different because we were trying to find ways to win games. It wasn't really executed. So I don't even know if the people at Syracuse ever really got to see it, run the way we wanted it to run
Yeah.
because it was such a short stint. But then you go to Purdue and you run the Saints offense. And then I became a head coach and I hired an offensive coordinator who ran a spread RPO system. So I got to learn that system, which was really cool. And then obviously, last year in Green Bay running the Shanahan system. So I started running the Shanahan system in 2008 when I was the head coach at a D3 school. So I ran that from '08 to 12 before I came to Syracuse. So, it's been fun to it took me about a month and a half when I got here to just sit down and try to put it together, so exactly with coach parents and figure out what we thought would, successfully make it at this level in the Big Ten. And, but the great thing about even the Shanahan system is that there's things that you can't do in the NFL that you can do here, like RPOs and some of the unbalanced stuff. There's stuff that you can do in college you can't do in the pros yet, which I'm all for making the two games one. Why we have different fields and all that stuff. I still don't quite understand that, but we maybe that changes someday too. I don't know. But so just trying to weed through all the things and all the opportunities we have to add to the system. So it's been fun. It was great. They passed the quarterback communication in the helmet that just got passed this February, which is I was very grateful of that. It made my job a little bit easier as far as being able to speak directly to the quarterback, especially in a first year system.
Yeah.
Maybe when that guy's in second, third year, you don't need to talk to him as much, but in the first year, it'll be great that I can be in his ear the whole game and keep, I think it's going to make for better quarterback play, because that's one thing, top to bottom, college football doesn't have very good quarterback play. There's a lot of reasons for it. I could go through all of them, but I do think this is another step in helping quarterbacks be more, more efficient and more explosive. And offenses really be more efficient and more explosive. So it has been fun. It has been fun. And we've changed it 50 times, because the number one thing to offense is knowing your personnel.
Yeah.
Right. The main reason at Syracuse you were there. We were running outside zone read triple a la Georgia Southern because Mahoney could. Yeah. I mean, it was like a hybrid play that we ran in the red zone. Then in training camp, the first time we saw him run it, we're like, oh my gosh, this guy, he was, I think, the third stringer or the fourth at that time, said if we ever had to play him, like, this is what we got to do, because he's so good at it. And sure enough, fast forward 3 weeks, he's your starting quarterback. I think his first start was LSU and his second start was Clemson, this kid, this walk-on from Chicago. So, so you got to get to know your players, right? And that's really what I'm doing. It stunk that Cade, what throws does he like? I still don't know that answer, so I have a playbook with this many pass plays in it that I only want to run this many. I just don't know which ones he likes the best yet, and so we are still in process of developing. The good thing is our O-line was healthy, learned a lot about them, learned a lot about our tight ends. We had some guys get banged up at wide receiver, so I'm still trying to figure out them a little bit. Learned a ton about our running backs because it's so important that you know your personnel in there, right? And when you're new, it's great that we have a playbook and have been around long enough that we have something for every type of running back and every type of tight end and every type of quarterback and wide out. But you just got to figure out what types you have. So this is going to be a huge learning you just want to have a system that's flexible in training camp. So as we figure out what Cade does well, and what the new quarterbacks do well, and what uh, finally the healthy receivers, if they're all back and stay healthy, what they do well, and then picking plays is pretty easy once you know your personnel. And I learned a ton in the spring, but I got a lot more learning to do, so I can make sure I'm putting the guys in the best position to do things that they're naturally good at. And that's everywhere. I think that's if you don't have flexible offensive football, then you might be good for a year when you have the perfect group.
Yeah.
But if you want longevity, you're going to have a flexible system.
Yeah. Well, and we know that your recruiting and the way that you did things obviously helped bring a bowl game to Syracuse. Even if you weren't there for it, I still give credit where credit is due. So before we let you go here, there's so many places I want to go to, and obviously I'll have you back on. I always love just sitting and listening how you broke everything down because you give the information. It's not this coach, oh yeah, we got good guys and we're doing this. No, it's like you literally just took a big picture and broke it down to a smaller picture and gave us those pieces, and I love that. We're going to play some rapid fire. You get to ask me the first question.
I could ask you the first question.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about the signs behind you. Heritage Hill North.
Yes.
I'm all the way in the Midwest, in the middle of Iowa, surrounded by corn. So is that an establishment that's close to you?
So we have an exclusive studio partnership, and Heritage Hill is our exclusive studio partner. The brew house is out in Pompey. They have one in the country and one in like the city right around like North Syracuse, East Syracuse, Cicero, Clay. So out in Pompey, they have the brew house, which is incredible. It's a ton of farmland. It's just wide open area with all these buildings, all these different things to do. And obviously they brew their own. They have their Palladino farms. Dan Palladino runs it. So we have the one out in the country where I call it God's landscape. And then we have the one that's sitting Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street at Sweetheart Corner, that when you come out of the airport, you can literally maybe 4 minutes outside of the airport, you can go over to that one. So I appreciate you asking, but it's one of the local places here that's just done a ton of work to become who they are, and I'm very honored to work with them. So,
when I saw it earlier, I was like, that looks like a place I would want to go. I assumed it was a restaurant brew house. You hadn't said that yet, which now I know, which is good. But I'm sure I'm going to be back there at some point, and now I have a place to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You will not want for good places when you come back into town. We'll make sure we take care of that. So my first one for you, Tim, if you're in the middle of Iowa, surrounded by corn, I'm going to ask you that. I've never asked this question before. Might as well ask it. Last year, apparently, in this crazy news cycle where people say things and then they quickly go away, which makes no sense to me, they had like a congressional hearing or something about, are you in possession of technology? They said yes. They said, is it from this earth? The guy goes, no. And he's like, did you find bodies? And they go, yeah. And they said, were they human? And he goes, no. And then nobody talked about it again. So you're in Iowa, are surrounded by cornfields. Do you believe that aliens are among us?
You know what? I have not even thought about that ever. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to get done today. I'm in the middle of buying a house. But yeah, maybe you never know. Stranger things have happened. It is weird when they stop talking, right? Like those things die really quick.
Oh yeah.
But you need to talk to Phil Parker, our defensive coordinator. He has all kinds of theories.
Okay.
He is a fun guy to talk to.
All right, we gotta talk to him and get him on the show. I just found it the weirdest thing in the world. They're like, are you in possession of bodies? Yes. Are they human? No. Okay, everyone have a good day. Watch this TikTok video of this new dance. Like, it makes no sense that happened. I was like, where's the X-Files music when you need it? But what's your next question?
I can tell you this thing about Iowa City is there. I'm from Chicago, and most of the Midwest is flat.
Yeah.
Right, flat and corn. Not here. Now we're surrounded by it. from 20 miles every direction. But it is like, I was shocked. I kept telling my wife when I was driving around here just about how hilly it is. I mean,
Yeah.
huge hills, and trying to find a yard for your kids to play in, because at the back of every yard it goes straight down or straight. I mean, a little bit like when I lived in Syracuse. So a lot of people are shocked when they come to Iowa City as far as what you think the lay of the land is going to look like. Now, if you drive 20 minutes every direction, it looks exactly like you think.
Yeah.
But not in Iowa City, man. It is a crazy, beautiful, hilly trees everywhere. Like not what you picture at all. And then you, like I said, drive 20 minutes and it looks exactly like there's going to be a field of dreams around the corner.
Yeah.
But in the actual Iowa City, it is really one of the most beautiful places. It's really cool.
Yeah, I landed in Des Moines and drove to Omaha, Nebraska, and it was just flat land. At any given time, some type of wildlife creature could just creep out onto the street. It was the weirdest. It looked like civilization was gone. It was like kind of Fallout looking. Everything was flat. Everything was quiet. And you're like, something's going to come out of that cornfield. I don't know what it is. I don't know how fast it's going to come out. But what's your second one for me?
Okay, second question is going to be about because I know you're a huge Jacksonville Jaguars fan,
Yes.
right? So I've been out of the NFL for 5 months now, and I have no clue. So I know you have this information for me as far as I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan.
Okay.
I had a chance to go down there and spend a week with him in college. Dabo invited me down, and so I went and spent a week and got to hang out with him a little bit. So I've always been a follower of him, and I did hear you did tell me he signed a new contract, which I was totally unaware of.
Yeah.
So, and I know they're a team you follow close. So I guess my question is more about them. Is like what are the prognosticators saying about the Jaguars this year?
I was just talking about this Sunday. So Jacksonville had like a 2-year window where Houston wasn't really that good. And Houston was winning the AFC South, not being a good team, just being better than worse teams. And, now with CJ Stroud and everything that they have there, they return the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year with Will Anderson Jr. There's a lot to be said about who Houston is. Now, Jacksonville, I want to believe that there's depth on the offensive line. They had 3 starting left tackles last year, which was really hard. My frustration is people blame Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is going into year 4. In his first year, he was drafted to the worst team in the NFL. And he had a coach that wasn't truly there in Urban Meyer. And then you have a second season, and he goes to the playoffs. He takes the 32nd team in the NFL out of 32. They go to the postseason. And then last year, they almost make the postseason where he plays injured for like 4 weeks. He has a shoulder injury. He has a high ankle sprain. He should be out 4 weeks. He plays most of it. And you can tell his long ball was on, but his short passes weren't. He was sailing over guys. So I tell people the incompletions and the interceptions in the last 4 weeks, you should just take those right out of the stat sheet because it wasn't truly Trevor. And the play calling, I'm going to watch that a little more closely now. I mean, between the play calling, which is not his control, and the offensive line injuries is not his control, and being injured himself is not his control, I want him to be the Jaguars quarterback his whole career. And as of right now, he'll be there a decade, God willing. And something in my head is like he's going to be there 16 years, and I know he wears number 16, but he is a leader. He is kind. He breaks things down. He is humble. I enjoy talking with him. And you and I talk about, like, it's just the simple things where, like, people make people feel important and seen. And when they had won the playoff game over the Chargers a couple of years ago, I was the last media person in the locker room. And I finished up my interviews, and I'm walking out, and I had already congratulated Trevor. And I'm walking out, and he's walking with this guy, David, who was with the staff at the time. And he's laughing and talking with David. And he stops, and he looks right at me, big smile on his face, and he goes, sup. It's just stuff like that. Or like he's just a happy dude, like trying to win, and he knows what's on his shoulders, and I feel like he carries it well. You don't see the guy shaking that much. So last year, people were saying, "Hey, Dan, Super Bowl," and you know, I know well enough as a fan, if you guarantee something, it's not going to happen. But
Hmm.
I feel good about them. You know, Cisco, he's in his contract year. The defense has gotten better. Foye Aluakin, Josh Allen, there's a lot of guys there that are helpful. They drafted interior defensive lineman, which was important. They brought in another O tackle. They brought in Brian Thomas Jr. as a wide receiver. They have Kirk coming back. Evan Engram, I thought was great when he came into the NFL. He's 1,000-yard tight end. So, I mean, and Travis Etienne does a lot of good things too. And there's at least three deep at running back, if not four. So I like what I'm seeing. It's just a culture of consistency and focusing on knowing the task at hand and understanding that the only big bad wolf should be in the mirror. It shouldn't be the Texans. It shouldn't be the Chiefs. It shouldn't be the Bills. This is a week to week. How do I become a better Jaguar? And I think they have the capability of doing it. I think they have the head coach to do it. I just want them to stay focused and just lean on each other when they need to, because this team
Hmm.
typically is a lot better than the results of the games. And I want to stop saying that. I want to say, no,
Yeah.
this team showed me in the result of the game who they are. And
Yeah.
I think it's like it's right there, but like Papa wants to go to a Super Bowl. So like let's
Yeah.
so let's get a little. I was there in Foxborough
Yeah.
in 2017-18, and my heart, I had a Patriots fan call me up. I had not even walked off the sidewalk of Foxborough, and I told him, I said, if you want our friendship to withstand today, you need to get off the phone with me right now. You need to let me go to my car, cry, scream, do whatever I need to do, and then we can have the conversation. But that was heartbreaking to be 4 points away, and
Yeah.
it was criminal. But you know, so I mean, the long answer is that, but the short answer is I think there's a lot of good guys in the locker room. There's a few that I'm sad that aren't there, but ultimately, I think they're in a place where they can make some really cool things happen, but they got to stay focused because the Houston
Yeah.
Texans could be a juggernaut, and I understand that. So
Yeah. I know you remember Jake Moreland. He's one of my
yes,
best friends, and
yeah,
he was with us there. He's a tight end coach in Houston, and so I talk to him all the time about their team, and obviously what happened last year was super impressive.
yeah,
With the new coach and the new staff, and obviously they doubled down in free agency this year, and really went all in, and so it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a good league. I mean, it's crazy. A couple years later, after that league being, like you said, the best of the worst, or whatever, however you put it. I mean, there's some juggernaut teams now, and experienced quarterbacks, and great experienced quarterbacks. So it's going to be a fun league to watch.
yeah. We got a lot of nice messages. Jerry saying excellent segment, gentlemen. Charlene Davis saying so proud of you, Tim. So my last question for you, Mister Lester, is you and I talk about this all the time. You're in Iowa now. I fly all over the place. You're doing your thing. Can we, either in season or around the season, can we make a commitment to finding a way for our planes to align that you and I actually get some FaceTime?
Yeah, you need. Well, my schedule's fairly. I mean, you can get on IowaHawkeyeFootball.com, and you'll know exactly where I'm going to be. It will not be hard to figure out where I'm going to be. If you are in this office or you are at one of those locations that we play at, I will be there and be. I would love to catch up. Doing this is easy. We could find a. I think we have 2 bye weeks or something like that. I don't know. We can definitely get together in Zoom and text like we always do. But to be face to face, it's simple. Just look at that schedule Tell me what game you want to come to. I don't think, when do we head out there? I don't know who. I don't even know. I've been so focused on what we're doing that I don't even know. I think I know the first three games, and after that, we're gonna get prepared for whoever's next on the schedule. But I know we go out east eventually,
Yeah,
right?
I'll tell you what you got. So you have Illinois State at home. You have Iowa State at home. You have Troy at home. Then you're at Minnesota, at Ohio State, Washington at home, at Michigan State, Northwestern at home, Wisconsin at home, at UCLA, at Maryland is November 23rd, and then you
Okay.
have Nebraska at home. It's still weird in my world to go. The UCLA game and the Washington game are conference games against
Yeah,
somebody.
conference games, conference games. I remember. I can tell you this: we're on the bus headed to our Dallas playoff game, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's right when uh, Kalen or DeBoer left Washington, and I heard a rumor. So one of the guys on the bus is like, "Hey, Lance Leipold's going to Washington," you
Yeah.
know. So I immediately text Lance. We're headed to play a playoff game, and I was like, "Dude, are you going to Washington?" You know, I said, and I followed up with, "I always thought you'd be a great Big Ten coach. I just didn't think you'd have to move to the state of Washington to be a Big Ten coach." You know, and
Yeah.
he sent back a bunch of laughing emojis. He's like, "Yeah, I'm still getting used to that myself." You know, as far as just that, and obviously he didn't take that job, but it was funny because we were talking about like Washington is a great opportunity, a great job to
Yeah.
be in the Big Ten, which who would ever thought that would happen? And will it last? Who knows? All I know, like Coach Ferentz says all the time, is we're going to play 12 games this year. That's all I know. We're going to play 12. We're going to get prepared for them. And next year we might play 13, 14. Who knows? But it's definitely it's definitely a different thing. So what is it? We go out to Ohio State. That's your direction. We go out to Maryland
Yeah.
too. Unless you want to come to the great state of Iowa, it's a beautiful place. And Kinnick Stadium, from what I hear, is a heck of a place to watch a football game.
Yeah. No, we have to figure something out. Like I said, I've been through Iowa, but to make a stop, I would be happy to for Mr. Tim Lester here,
That'd be
offensive
great.
coordinator, Hawkeyes of Iowa, inside of the Big Ten. Tim, as always, I don't know how to say goodbye, so I will say see you later. But I say it all the time. Over a decade, and you and I have had this awesome relationship, and we build it, and we always have a good time talking with each other, and you always find time for me. So I just want to tell you I appreciate your friendship and being a man of your word, and still miss you being out here to this day. So I might have to find my way to Iowa City and roll down some of them hills that you talk about.
Well, we are looking forward to hosting you, 100%. I appreciate you, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you.
See you. That coming from Tim Lester here once again, the Iowa Hawkeye and a good friend of mine. We met back at Syracuse when he was the quarterbacks coach, and then became the offensive coordinator, like you talked about, for a season. So him and I got to know each other very well over a long period of time, and it's just grown. It's grown from his time at Syracuse all the way to today, and it's been an absolutely amazing connection. And I honestly I can't say enough about Tim and his positivity and his support and just always being there, right? It's one thing when somebody says, I'm going to be there. And it's another thing when that person actually, answers their phone, answers their text messages, and finds a way to just be a part of your life. No matter what they're doing, no matter what you're doing, it always goes a long way with me. So, with that being said, Lytoya Baker is going to be joining us here. We're going to do our Bearcat Breakroom. As you know, the Binghamton University Bearcats and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora have an exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, which gives us the opportunity to tell the stories of the Bearcats every single month. And weekly, we bring you the Bearcat Break Room as well as Moments with Marshall with Athletics Director Gene Marshall, our segments every single month during Bearcat time, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Our first segment went a little bit longer, so I thank Lytoya for being patient. One of my people that I believe should be a Lemoyne Hall of Famer. I think that she should be in the gold wave. And I'm looking forward to what she's going to be doing now in a coaching staff at Binghamton University. One of the coolest things is when you don't know news until you find out in a fun way. And so here I am going out to Binghamton last week to celebrate the Commissioner's Cup back-to-back in the America East. And I sit in the front row, and I turn around and I see Mary Grimes, and obviously I got to know Mary at Moyne. So I see Mary, and I'm talking to Mary, and then I look on my other side, and I'm like, Toya? So she's here with us now, as that happened before it was announced officially that she is on staff at Binghamton University for women's basketball. Lytoya Baker, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and happy to have you here this morning. I got to ask you how it all came together. How I knowing Mary Grimes, playing for Mary Grimes, but what made it happen that you said my playing time in college is done. I'm going to shift into being a part of a staff. What made you want to do that?
Honestly, always knew I wanted to be a coach. Me and Grimes, we had the conversation before the season ended, and we didn't know, like, no one knew she was going to Bing. She didn't even know she was going to Bing. And when that did happen, she had to rebuild her staff, and I saw the opportunity to ask her, yeah, if I could join her at Binghamton. And honestly, me realizing that like everything is over at college happened, and then there was a possibility to go overseas and stuff like that there, you know, and I just decided to go with Coach Grimes because again, she is a coach that I know, and we work very well together, and yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
You talked about there was the opportunity to go overseas, and when you love the game of basketball and you've been playing, pretty much all your life, when you had the opportunity to continue playing and you ultimately decided to go into coaching, how difficult of a decision for you personally was that to say, like, I'm gonna hang it up? I mean, some people will, play as long as they could possibly play, and they don't jump right into coaching. Some say, you know what, this is what I want to do. Like you said, you knew what you wanted to do. How difficult was it to look at those sneakers and say, I'm gonna keep wearing sneakers, but I'm gonna wear them on the sideline, and I'm not gonna go overseas? How difficult of a decision for you personally?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely difficult. I love basketball, and it is even more difficult when you like feel like you're in your prime. So, I definitely had to come to realization that like if I wanted to do coaching, like this is the perfect opportunity for me to do so. Like Coach Grimes has to rebuild his staff, and it was just a perfect way for me to slip in. And yeah, I just felt like I wasn't ready for overseas just yet. So, I mean, it was a blessing in disguise.
Is there any chance that you could even think about open the door to playing in the future because you're right out of college? I mean, do you think about that at all, that you could live in both worlds, or is that not a thought?
I mean, right now I'm just focused on Binghamton basketball. I'm not really focused on my career right now. Like, honestly, it's just for me to learn. It's a learning experience of how basketball works in coaching. So I'm just thinking about Binghamton.
It's one thing to play for a coach, it's another thing to say, I enjoyed that time so much that I want to continue to stay connected with this coach. What is it about Mary Grimes that speaks to you and makes you feel like this is somebody that I learned from being a student athlete, but now, I mean, for the rest of your life, this is the first coach to give you a job on staff. This is the first time you've worked on a staff after playing. So why Mary? What is it about her that you just feel like clicks with you?
I mean, I know Coach Grimes for like 6 years now, going on 6 years, and honestly, she's always been open arms, always looking out for me. And even when she left, she always texted me when she left to go to Xavier. She always texted me to make sure I was okay, and I respect that, and I appreciated that, and I knew I was in good hands going to the next chapter in my life because I knew Coach Grimes was gonna look out for me, and I know she's gonna be the great person for the first coach I'm under.
And I mean, as far as the message getting through as a leader, what is it about her leadership style, her leadership skills that you feel like works? What is it? Because I mean, you like again, you saw it as a student athlete. So these student athletes at Binghamton, they can come over to you, Toya, and they can say, you know, coach said this. What does this mean? Coach wants me to do this. Can you show me? I mean, you've learned from her as a student athlete. So as you see student athletes learn from her now, you're in this very unique place where you understand her language. How would you describe her leadership style?
I would say that Coach leadership style is that she's very understanding. Like she understands what's happening in our lives. It's just not basketball. She's very understanding. And like on the court, like when she says she wants to win, she wants to win. And like we do everything in our power to win. And she's really about like being close as a team, and we do a lot of team building activities and stuff like that. But I would say she's very understanding overall as a coach.
And for you to go back to your playing days for a second, you made a decision to not only come back and continue playing, but you made a decision to stay at Lemoyne and do that. Hindsight 2020, you come to Lemoyne, you have one coach that's a head coach. You know, you have Gina Castelli there, then you have Mary Grimes. Like you said, you've known her for 6 years. She stayed in touch with you, and you look back at the time in Division Two, going to the NCAA tournament, and then you decide to come back to Lemoyne. They go D1, and here you are, the number 2 team in the conference, first time in the NEC, 14-2 in the conference. The only loss that the number 1 team has, Sacred Heart, is to Lemoyne, the team you were on, at their home at Sacred Heart. You play in the NEC tournament championship game, and then you're an automatic qualifier from the WNIT because you can't play in the NCAAs due to NCAA rule for reclassification. So here you are playing in another national tournament. You go to Niagara, and they got to score almost 100 points to beat you. When you reflect on your decision to come back, and then you bring in Division One, you bring in the incredible record in the NEC, being the number 2 team, playing in the championship game, going to the WNIT. How do you reflect on all of that? Because that team that you were on will forever be the first team that was in Division One for women's basketball at Lemoyne, and it was an incredible season, a winning season in the first year of reclassification. How do you reflect on that?
Honestly, I don't know how we did it. Is all the odds were against us. What we did was incredible. It was history. Honestly, you talk about Hall of Fame. I think the whole team deserved to be on Hall of Fame because what we did was said impossible, and we did it in just a year at our first year, Division One. So it was a great accomplishment, and everywhere Coach Grimes go, she wins. So I knew that no matter what, we were gonna win, and I believe that now at Binghamton, like it is definitely like a bigger school and all that, but I think I know that we're gonna win because we're under Coach Grimes.
You know, and you have that faith and you have that belief, and we've talked about her leadership. How would you describe how you've evolved as a leader? We've seen you on the floor do so many things. Toya, I mean, when it comes to, you would get the ball in the paint, you would turn around, not even be like looking right at the hoop. And I'm like, how does she know exactly where she needs to be? And you would do things at times, and I mean, we didn't know. Is she going to pass? Is she going to take the shot? Like, what is she going to do in this moment? I feel like sometimes you probably even positively surprised yourself when you were playing the game of basketball, but you meant so much on the floor. How have you grown as a leader? And because you're bringing that here onto the coaching staff. So we talk about Mary as a leader. How have you grown as a leader?
Over the past 5 years against being at Lemoyne, I had the chance to grow as a person, not just as a basketball player. And like I just been able to talk more. I wasn't really the talkative person. I wasn't really the leader in the group. And I think Coach Grimes brought that out of me the past 3 years. And she showed me that I could be a leader. And she gave me that responsibility, that role, and I just took it and went with it. And I think that I could bring to a lot to the table off the court. Like now that I'm a coach now, and I feel like I learned a lot from Coach Grimes, and I'm gonna continue to learn from Coach Grimes and our coaching staff. And I feel like I'm in good hands to do so.
And I'd love to go into that conversation here in the Bearcat Breakroom with Lytoya Baker here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University and the Bearcats here in the Heritage Hill Studios. Bring me into the conversation of when Mary officially said to you, because you said, I want to do this. I want to work with Mary. She wins wherever she goes. I want to continue to be a part of what she's doing. But bring me into the conversation of finding out and Mary officially saying, like, Toya, I want you with me here in Binghamton.
Um, I think it was like right after I graduated, Lemoyne. She called me and was basically like, "Hey, Toy, like, what are your plans? Like, what's happening?" And I told her everything, and she was like, "Well, we have a spot if you want to take it. Like, we have it." And I was because before I was like, "Coach, like, I think I want to go to coaching. Like I know you're going to Bing. Like, this is when it announced." And she called me back. Was like, "Well, we have a spot, and you're more welcome to come and all that." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Absolutely. So yeah.
So you make that decision. You've been down in Binghamton. You've had the experience of being on campus and whatnot. What can you say about your first impression of Binghamton University, and not just basketball wise, but in general, when you look at your new home, how would you describe Binghamton University?
I would say it is a bigger and better Lemoyne. It's like way bigger, obviously, and it's still family. Like you still feel that sense of family, and the athletic department is great to everyone. Everyone says hi, hello, and I just feel like these past 2 weeks has just been amazing being here, and everybody is so welcoming, so hopeful, and yeah.
And when you see this family, you've gotten to know and spent some time with the other members of the coaching staff. What has that been like for you, and how have you worked to build those relationships within the staff itself as you're all going to be working close together toward the common goal of winning in the classroom, winning on the court, so winning in the community as well. So what can you say about the rest of the staff and what that's been like? Because like I said, I mean, I had the opportunity to walk into the room and turn around, and most of the staff was there, including yourself. So what have you taken away from the rest of the staff so far?
Honestly, like they're great people, great coaches. They all came from different schools and they're great coaches. Even Maggie, who was here before us, she's very helpful, and I share a office with her, and she's great to talk with and all that. And Allie coming to from Duville as a head coach, she's very helpful. She's very knowledgeable about the game, and it's great to talk to her. We went on a hike the other day, so we're getting to know each other a lot more. And she's a very nice person. And Z, she's a very nice person too. She definitely knows a ton of basketball, and coming from St. Francis, like she's a great coach, and I just can't wait to work with her more. And Emma, she was my GA, so we connect a little bit more. And she's an amazing person. She's always smiling. She's always you know, taking the energy in the room, and she's a great person. And she's a great person to work with.
Yeah, and you talk about Emma coming over from Lemoyne as well. When you found that out, when you found out Emma was going to be there, and when you were a student athlete, obviously, working with her and being around her, what was that moment like for you and that reaction like for you when you found out that you were going to not only be spending more time with Mary, but you're going to be spending time with Emma as well?
It was great. I just love her as a person, and I love her as a coach, and I think she brings a lot to the table. So yeah.
So Lytoya Baker here with us inside of this Bearcat break room. Video coordinator. That is the official title for your
Yeah.
job on this coaching staff. Bring us into what that is going to mean as we get ready for the season, going into the season. When we hear video coordinator to certain teams, there could be certain things that are similar, but some video coordinators might have other jobs beyond what we typically just hear when we hear video coordinator. So what are your tasks, your main tasks as you take on this first opportunity of coaching?
So basically, I just watched a bunch of film and I analyze everyone from players, from teams, and I'm learning a lot like through film and stuff like that. And I have to, upload film and all that stuff. And I mean, it's a great way to learn behind the scenes and to learn all the teams in the conference and stuff like that. And I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for me to start coaching.
And for you, Toya, I mean, when you're breaking down this film and you're doing this analysis and whatnot, have you always loved that? Is that something you've grown to love? But when it comes to analysis of film and just watching film and breaking down pieces, that's an incredibly important job when it comes to scouting and understanding your opponents. So, has this been something that's always intrigued you, or have you grown into this place of like, wow, I really just love the analysis of film and breaking these things down into little pieces?
Yeah, I've always wanted to was interested in it. When I was a player, I watched a lot of film of myself, and it's a little different because I'm watching it like not as myself. And honestly, I think it's better because I see different style of plays of basketball. And when I was a player, I used to watch tons of film with Coach Grimes, and we watched film together about like how I played, how other teams we were going to play. And now I get to experience that in a different view, and I think it's great for my knowledge of basketball.
Toya, for you, not just on the basketball court, but in general, from who you were when I met you a few years ago to who you are today, bring me into the evolution of Lytoya Baker. What are the things that you have today or you've evolved today that a few years ago weren't there in the toolbox, or maybe they were there but you've grown them? If you look over these last few years, what can you say about your personal growth and who you are? Because as you step forward, everything that you've done up to this point, right, that knowledge, that wisdom, that experience can help you. So in these last few years, where have you become better, stronger? What have you added to your game of life, so to speak?
I think it honestly started my freshman year of college. I know it wasn't the best freshman year, but I experienced a lot that I didn't thought could happen. I didn't think, basketball could go that way. And it made me realize that, you have to grow as a person. You have to grow as a basketball player. It's not going to be easy all the time. And from there on, like, I've experienced a ton of things during my basketball career, good and bad. And they all prepared me for this moment. They all prepared me for my future. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm where I'm supposed to be right now.
What's one of those like adversity moments? If you could pick out a moment, like you said, you've gone through good things, you've gone through tough things. What's one of those moments that was a tough moment, an adversity moment that you reflect on and you're like, as hard as that was then, I'm so happy I went through it?
Yeah, I would say the end of my freshman year, um, I didn't really play that much, like in the beginning, and I was finally starting to, get the hang of it, getting more playing time, getting yeah, reps and all that. And I remember it was we was going into NCAA's at Adelphi, and COVID happened and everything was shut down after that. And I remember Coach Caselli telling me, "Man, I wish we like had another game, like you were finally getting the hang of it, like you were finally doing it, Toya. And like that moment, I was like, wow, like I wish I had those other games. Like, what if I did? And what if I, had to break out during that game and stuff? And honestly, looking back at it, I wish I had it, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't because I mean, everything happens for a reason, and it made me stronger. It made me work on my game even more, and made me realize that I don't want to wait until my last game of that year. I don't want to leave it up to that last game. I want to give it all I have every single game, and I think I did that the past 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's clear that anybody who spent 5 seconds around Lemoyne basketball knew your name. And for you, did you ever feel that pressure? Did you feel because there, I mean, obviously you had a bunch of tremendous teammates from Sierra to Sid to Hayden to Kaya to so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many that we can name of people that were there with you at Lemoyne. Did you feel the pressure of leadership? Did you feel that you had to be the one to constantly, be it an assist or be it a rebound or be it scoring, did you always feel like, hey, I have to be on 10 at all times? Did you feel that?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like after my senior year, when I did well and I got all these accolades and stuff like that, I definitely felt a little pressure going into like the school season and this regular season. But then I sat down with Coach Grimes and I'm like, I don't wanna like fill the crowd and all that. I wanna do me. I wanna do what I'm good at and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And that was my main focus, like to block out the crowd, block out all the good things people are saying, all the bad things people are saying, because this is a new school season, a new regular season, and I think I tried to do that the best I can, and I was whatever my teammates needed me to be, whatever coach needed me to be, I was that, and I didn't feel like I need to score, I need to, because anyone on my team could do that year, and I mean we proved that throughout the games, like anyone can have their moment, and we did very well with that.
And when you look back on it, do you feel like you left it all out there? Is there anything that you're like, man, I could have done this, I should have done this? Or do you reflect on your playing career and as you step into this new chapter, do you feel like you left it all out there?
I do think I left it all out there. It was a very long season, very difficult season, my last season, and I believe each one of us left it all out there that last game, every single game. We gave it all that we got. It was a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, a lot of laughs, a lot of joy, and I wouldn't take anything back. No loss, no win, nothing.
So here we are. All of this has helped to make you who you are. And we're here in Binghamton University with the Bearcats. Student athletes are going to go through adversity. Student athletes are going to be challenged in the classroom. They're going to be challenged on the court. Some of them are going to get the playing time they want. Some of them are going to get more than what they wanted. Some of them are going to get less than what they wanted. Some are going to have things just happen in life. Some are going to have pressure. Some are going to have nice things said about them. Some of them are going to have not great things be said about them. You and I just spoke about all of that. How can you improve the student athlete experience having just gone through it? How can you help the student athletes at Binghamton?
Honestly, just being there for them. A lot of student athletes don't have that person who went through what they're going through. And all I can do is be there for them, is tell them that like I was there at one point and I understand how you're feeling and I'm here to help you. I'm here to talk to you and stuff like that. But I'm definitely going to be an outlet for them.
Toya, before we get into rapid fire, when you look back on your life up to this point, when you smile and you're really excited, because when you're on the court, you're just, I feel like your face was always, you didn't know. You could be up by 20, down by 20, but you're just out there playing your game. What are the things in life that make you smile the most? Because I've seen it. I've seen you smile. I've seen you have fun. I've been out at Ted Grant Field and you come up and you're like, what's up? Give me a hug and a big smile. What are the things that make you smile the most?
Honestly, it's really family, friends, um, the sense of even feeling like my friends are family, and having a great support system. I just know that when I am having a bad day or something like that, there's someone um who always puts a smile on my face and they never fail. So definitely not, yeah.
Love that, and I can appreciate that. Lytoya Baker here in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom. Let's jump into some rapid fire. You're a veteran at this, so I'm gonna let you start here. What's your first question for me?
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Who do you have winning the finals in the WNBA?
So it's a tough question for me. I'm a big fan of Caitlin Clark. I'm a big fan of Breanna Stewart. And I know that the Las Vegas Aces have won two in a row. So, I mean, like feet to the fire. I would love to see, in my opinion, if I could choose the season, I would want the Liberty to win, I think. But it's so hard, Toya, because here's the thing. I started my career back in 2003 covering men's and women's basketball, started a show around it, gave it a name, a logo, all that stuff at Marywood University in Scranton, PA. And back then, they're like, "Oh, we want to, we want to do the games on TV and radio simulcast." I said, "Men's and women's," and they're like, "Well, definitely men's." And I said, "Well, I'm not doing it unless it's both." So back in '03, I started my career covering women's basketball. So I've had a connection and an appreciation for it. I can't stand when people talk to me and they go, "Well, I watch men's basketball, but I watch women's basketball." And I'm like, "Well, basketball is basketball." And there's so many pieces to the game that you miss and nuances to it and the way coaches coach and the way that players play. So the WNBA, I think my happiest part about it is that people seem to care more. There seems to be more sponsorships. It's on television now. And I mean, you asked me a question where I feel like I have to say the Liberty for me, but I just want to see really good games. And
Yeah.
I just selfishly, I want to see people that like I have some connection to or affinity to. Like I want to see them at the top of it, but there's good players all over the country. And here's the tough part. I don't have an official team. Like I have my professional teams and I kind of went Liberty because I liked Rebecca Lobo back in the day and I like Breanna Stewart. So I kind of leaned Liberty.
Yeah.
But then I was like, do I want to go Indiana because of Caitlin Clark? But there's other teams and there's other people in other places. I just think Stewie. Honestly, I think. I mean, she's from Central New York. She played with my cousin Sammy at CNS. She won her entire time in college. She's one of the most recognizable women basketball players and overall basketball players, men's and women's, in the world. There's a mural of her in Syracuse, for goodness sakes, with some of the greats. So I feel like, I know it's a long winded answer, but I feel like the Liberty probably have my heart at the moment, but I just want to see good basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw the question back at you. If you could decide the ending this season of the WNBA, you paint me your picture.
Um, Honestly, I feel like the Aces is gonna win it again. But if I had to pick, if I had to choose, I would probably say the Liberty too.
Okay.
Just because I think they are on the roll and New York and I don't know, I love their players. Like they have a lot of weapons and I feel like if there's anyone who could knock the Aces, it's them.
Yeah, I mean the Aces have put themselves in a fantastic historic position right now. But as we're looking at it, if everything was to go on today, the Liberty number one, Connecticut Sun two, Minnesota Lynx, Seattle Storm, Las Vegas Aces, Phoenix Mercury, the Atlanta Dream, and the Chicago Sky. And then out of it, the Indiana Fever, the Los Angeles Sparks, the Washington Mystics, and the Dallas Wings. So that's how it looks right now. But yeah, I'm going Toya, I think we've talked about it and we both have made it clear that it's the Liberty for us. I think we need to like does your schedule at Binghamton allow for us to sneak to a Liberty game? Can that happen?
I don't know. I guess we find out.
Can we ask Mary? So Mary, if you're watching, can you make like a little window? But what's your second question for me, Toya?
Let's see. Let's see. What's your go-to snack?
Oh, that's a good question. I've been asking stuff like that lately. Go-to snack. Well, I gotta say, I really like fruit, and I'll make like homemade fruit salad stuff just so I have something. So I've been rocking with watermelon, blueberries, and raisins recently together, but I think I don't know if there's a day where like a sweet watermelon can't live in my world like all day long. So I would say I try to do the healthier snack, and right now I would say having like some type of fruit in the house. But I put raisins in. My mom used to put them in the fruit salad growing up, and like nobody did that. So now I do that too. Shout out to my mom. But yeah, I would probably say that, or in the middle of the night when I'm hungry, I have those organic fruit strips that are supposed to be like made with real fruit, and it's just like that, like rectangular raspberry. So instead of like eating chips or eating something bad, if it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm eating a fruit strip. So I'm trying to be like, if I want something, go to fruit type of thing, so that the healthy side of thing is there. But I would say that would be the healthy snack. If you want me to pick one that I cannot have in the house because I'll eat it all, Lincourt Bake. I will not eat donuts. I won't. But if you buy Lincourt Bakery headlights, taillights, Kigley's, coconut, the old-fashioned chocolate chip, if you came to my house right now with a Lincourt Bakery box of donuts, I will be hard-pressed to not eat that thing in like 2 days. Whatever's in it. And they're just so good. So I legitimately have to they can't be in the house. But Lincourt Bakery, hands down, I will not eat a donut for years. And if you give me a box of Lincourt, I guess you need to understand the box is staying at my house, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So my question back to I like the snack question. Let's do this one. Toya, do you cook or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So Toya, I want you to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you were going to cook for the team today, I want you to give me the 3 meals that you would trust yourself that would like showcase your cooking.
For breakfast, I definitely do bacon and eggs on a bagel, bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. Like I cook that for everyone. I believe I cook a good one.
Okay.
And for lunch, I probably do. Let's see. Ooh, for lunch, I'll probably do like some chicken Caesar wraps.
Okay.
I'll look that up. And
Okay.
for dinner, hmm. For dinner, either burger and fries or fish and rice.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I don't know, like either one, because I'm a big burger person, but maybe someone doesn't eat meat too much,
What type
Yeah.
of fish?
Tilapia. Yeah.
So Toya, I don't know if you know this, but those were all in the studio here. I'm confirming off camera here with a statistician. Those were all the correct answers. Every one of
Yeah.
those was correct. So those are the right answers. No, that was
Yeah.
I agree with all that food for sure. Your final question for me? What do you got?
Let's see. Trying to think. You were talking about WNBA, Rookie of the Year, WNBA.
Oh boy. There's I mean, we talk about college the last couple of years. We talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, but look at what Angel's doing. Look what Caitlin's doing. I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of the two of them,
Yeah.
but I mean, they both. So, I don't even know how you can. It's gonna like, how do you choose that? It's got to be
Yeah.
like 51% to 49% or something like that. But I mean, Angel being a machine of doing so many things, but then you look at Caitlin Clark and everybody knows her for her scoring, but she just, set a record in assists in a game. So, I mean, I don't know if I can choose. I guess at this point, Chicago would be a playoff team. So if they look at it in the sense of, I mean, Indiana was the worst team, hence why they had the top pick. But when you look at, if they factor in at all making it to the postseason, I think maybe you give a slight edge to Angel. But I mean, they're both queens of the craft. So I think that question comes down to like a couple votes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's going to be either one of them. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would say. My last question for you. Give me hard ones, Toya. My last question for you is, okay. What college basketball player going into the 2024-25 season in women's basketball, who do you believe is like a sleeper dark horse we need to watch her game?
Oh, that's a tough one. So many. Well, um, I'm gonna choose one of our players. I say Kai Good. I
Okay.
think she is slept on a lot, especially like coming off of her sophomore season. It was tough for her, but I think a lot of people should look out for her. Um, I'm gonna put a target on your back, Kaya, but she's working and she's coming for everything. And I believe she got it. I'm always in her corner. That's family and everything, and I believe anyone can recover and do the great things she does. It's her.
Well, and I will say this to anybody who doesn't know her game or doesn't give her respect when you like come and see her on the floor. I, as you know, was there with y'all throughout the entire season. I've talked to Kaya after games, I've talked to Kaya in situations like this, and I've watched her plenty of times. I I think anyone I almost want people to sleep on her. Not not in a negative way, but I almost want people to like count her out so that I can just watch her show you what she can do. I mean,
But yeah,
I'm very moved by her, and I think, for me, when you talk about like, yeah, what you did, but then like what the team did as a whole, there was so many players on that Lemoyne team, and obviously Kaya transferring over to Binghamton now, but I just I like watching her play, and I like watching her have fun, and I like seeing her handle the ball. I like seeing her make decisions. I just feel like, in my opinion, in recent history at Lemoyne, when it comes to a ball handler, I feel like she has really trusted hands, and I I want her to go out there and wreak havoc. I really hope that she goes and has some fun at Binghamton for sure. And I know that you and the staff are going to be working with her. And the great thing is she knows you, she knows Emma, she knows Mary. But I'm happy that you said Kaya because man, she can pack a punch and she is fun to watch.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, Kaya, you just got a shameless plug from both of us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. This Bearcat Breakroom featuring Lytoya Baker, who has just announced as a member of the Binghamton women's basketball staff for the Bearcats, coming on as a video coordinator. Toya, you already know the utmost respect for you since the day that we met. And selfishly, I'm very happy that I get to continue to tell this story very close by. But just so you know, if you were somewhere overseas or on the other side of the country, I'd still be reaching out to you to tell your story. So thank you for always making time and for being the person that you are and fighting the way that you fight. I can't wait to see you on the coaching staff, and I can't wait to see what you do as a member of the leadership team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Take care. That coming from Lytoya Baker here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Love the fact that she mentioned Kaya Good here. And I love seeing the connections. I really do. And the fact that, Mary brought in Lytoya Baker to be a part of her staff. Am I surprised? No. It was a pleasant surprise because I didn't know that Toya wanted to jump right into coaching and being on that side of things. But am I surprised that Mary would reach out to somebody who was such a catalyst and such a leader for her team? Absolutely not. I think it's a great move by Mary, and I hope it works out for everybody involved. And these Bearcats, I think the student athletes are going to have fun. I think they're going to be loved up. And I think Toya can speak to a lot of things that on and off the court they might endure, which I think is a huge extension of Mary Grimes and what Mary's trying to do. So I'm very excited about this, and I pushed very much so to have Toya on immediately after the news was put out there publicly because I respect her, and I always have. So happy for you, Toya. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We haven't taken a fast break today, so we're going to get into some of these awesome messages from our partners as we have just leaned into really awesome conversations. So let's jump into that, hear from them, and then we'll be back with the ingredients to success from the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacted the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare it to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's time for us to get into our Tuesday segment that rounds out every Tuesday broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, we are here with you inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. You can head out to Heritage Hill Brew House in Pompey, and out there in Pompey, you could find them on 3149 Sweet Road out in the country. And then you could find them in the hustle and bustle of the city life by being at Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York at Sweetheart Corners. So, you know, you can find the connection between the two, Sweet Road, Sweetheart Corners. There's something sweet and positive about both of these wonderful places. Also, the Coconut Cluster and the Party Hardy, well, of course, drink responsibly. They got some sweetness to them as well, and they're both brought to you by Heritage Hill, and you can go and get them here, and I believe we're going to be doing a release on that of when you can go and buy those and all that, so excited about it. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, this is an awesome opportunity every single week, the ingredients to success, where I can talk about things that truly matter in life. And, linking back to sports, as you know, the tagline for Wake Up Call is where sports meets life, and always happy to connect the two together. And they find ways to do that themselves a lot. So we're focusing today on knowing that you matter. Knowing you. Yeah, you. The person listening, watching, I'm talking to you. Yeah, Dan, are you really talking to me? You don't know me. I don't have to know you. I know that you matter. Well, how do you know I matter if you don't know me? Because everybody does. Because every single soul on this planet, and has been on this planet, and will be on this planet, we all matter, right? We're unique. None of us are created exactly the same. I say this on the show all the time. Even identical twins are not identical. They're not identical in their personalities. They're not identical in some of their quips. They're not the same. You can tell them apart because even identical twins are unique. And understanding the uniqueness of every human being, I think, is the learning to appreciate that everybody has a place in this world. So if you feel like you don't, if you're searching for it, it's okay to wonder, where is my place? How do I fit into the grand scheme of things? But I think we all make our place, right? We're looking for, a sheet that apparently, says that. When people are like, well, where do I fit in the world? I'm like, are you looking for the sign-up sheet? Are you looking for that sheet like when they would announce who was going to be in the play and you're looking to see your name? Am I playing a tree? Am I playing the main? Am I the lead? Do I have lines? Do I not have lines? In life, God makes us all in God's image and likeness, which means that just by being created, we matter because God put his stamp on each of us, telling us all that we have a place. And we decide what that role is. We decide who we want to be and why we want to be and where we want to be. And I am a firm believer that if you want to do something, you go out and do it. If God put that talent inside of you and you have that drive and determination, go and do it. And God will guide you. And I know some people that listen to the show and watch the show believe in God, and I know some people don't. And I know some people call God different things, and you have different religion than I do, and that's fine because you're all welcome on this show. See, this show doesn't discriminate. Wake Up Call has never been a place of you can come, you can't. And I talk about my faith openly because it's the core of who I am. I can't do Wake Up Call or do anything and hide my faith in God. I can't do that because I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't have that faith. I wouldn't be sitting here today if God didn't pull me out of a black hole. And learning that you matter is incredibly important to your trajectory in your life, because if you don't know that you matter, you're not going to make good decisions for yourself. You're not going to be healthy. If you don't know that you matter, you're going to let people take advantage of you. You're going to let people do things to you and say things to you that, you can't control what they say and do, but you can control your reaction. Some people are told you're nothing but a piece of whatever, and they go, okay, well, if you believe that, then I believe that. And that's not true. What did Toya say? Toya said she wanted to just play her game. She didn't want to focus on the good things being said, the negative things being said. Because the thing is, and they say this all the time, when there's that outside noise going on, if it's good stuff, you can boost up your ego and start feeling yourself. If it's not good stuff, then you can start beating up on yourself. But either way, you're letting the world dictate to you. If you're a person that thrives on claps, you always need people to clap. You always need applause. Well, there's things that happen. I will tell you this because I've lived it and I continue to live it. There's no applause when you're in a room with God and you're writing by yourself. God, I shouldn't say there's no applause. God is applauding, but there's no people sitting there. when I was building my company, there was nobody there going, yeah, oh my God, with like pom-poms and going, woo, you know, like you get support of your friends and your parents and this and that, but sometimes not even there. Sometimes your friends and your family are like, why would you start a business? You know, when you're on the radio, why would you leave the radio to go to the internet? How do you know it's going to work? For the first couple of years that I went to the internet, I had people asking me when I'm going to go back to traditional radio. When are you going to go back? When are you going to go to ESPN? I was on 3 affiliates. Well, when are you going to go back there again? When are you going to make it? You know, when somebody comes to you, they go, when are you going to make it big? When are you going to make it big? And what you have to learn is your worth. When I tell you you matter, you determine your worth. You determine what is good enough for you. And it doesn't matter what other people think, because they're not living your life and you're not living theirs. And see, here's the thing where we get confused, me included. Why would you hand the keys of your life to somebody who's already driving theirs? If you try to drive 2 cars at the same time and get your hand on both wheels, understand you will crash. Because you can't drive 2 cars at the same time. Some people, and we know these drivers, they can't even drive one. So if you think about life with, why would you give your wheel to someone else who's already driving their own car? You would realize that that is a recipe for a crash. Not sometimes, every time. That's what happens. That's life. If you hand over your wheel to somebody else, and I'm making an example about life. I'm not saying, if you're drunk, you hand your key. Of course, you hand your keys over. If you're intoxicated, you give it to somebody who's sober. But I'm talking about in life, in this metaphor, when you are living in a world where you're letting somebody else steer your ship, drive your car, whatever you want to say, they're already taking care of theirs. And theirs will always be more important than yours. Because who's going to take care of them if they don't? And you have to know that. See, in life, we want, a lot of us, to please other people. But in pleasing other people, you will never win that battle, because no matter how many people you please, there will always be someone else that you didn't. And in trying to get that one, now you're not paying attention to, I got 40 people to clap, but I can get the 41st person to clap. So now you're just thinking about the 41st person, but you don't care about the 40 people that clapped. And all of a sudden, your life starts ticking away, and you haven't lived for yourself. You have only lived for the applause of others. And what life is that? We look at things, and we take time with things, right? Or we should. And we're supposed to learn from what we've gone through. And I think one of the biggest things you can learn is your self-worth, that you matter. Not cockiness, not arrogance, not ignorance, not disrespect, but a genuine love for who you are and why you are. And if you don't believe you matter, it's not going to matter who believes it. You realize that? If you don't believe you matter, it is not going to matter who believes that you do, because you're going to push those people away. I've seen it. I've lived it. I've lived it recently. A person who is allegedly treated consistently like they don't matter, when somebody finally sees them, they enjoy it for 5 minutes and then they run away from it, because they have been around people that have told them they don't matter. They believe those people. They've become accustomed to that. So when somebody finally sees them, finally believes in them, finally values them, they don't value themselves, and they end up hurting the people that value them by pushing those people away. And it's sad. And good people end up getting hurt for no good reason. But you can't make a person believe that they matter. You can talk to them. You can share with them. You can sit with them. You can tell them how you feel about them, how you see them. But ultimately, if they don't value themselves, there's nothing you can say or do. And I think a lot of times, I had this conversation last night, professionally, personally, people will say, I'm doing things the right way. I'm not cutting corners. I'm doing things with morals. I'm doing things with values. I'm doing things with God. I'm doing things with faith. I'm doing things with kindness and generosity and empathy. I'm treating people better than they treated me, but I'm not getting the outcome that I want. So I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I just need to cut corners. Maybe I just need to throw my morals to the wind, stop believing in God, have no faith, just go out there willy-nilly, every man for himself, every woman for themselves, and just do whatever I want to do. That's the enemy talking. The enemy will tell you, you have gone in the same direction for all of these years doing good things, and if you want to get the outcome you're not getting, you have to throw all of that to the wind and do something bad. And I'll tell you this. You could do the right thing for 8 years, but the moment you do the wrong thing, that could be for the rest of your life. It could literally take everything you've done and in 1 second change it. Right? You're a good driver. You care about everybody on the road. And then you go, you know what? Everyone's cut me off. Screw them. You drive a car off the road. They smash into a tree. They die. You go to jail. One decision, one time. Different from all of your previous decisions, but costs you. Conversely, you're a mean person. You're a disrespectful person. You're a bully. You decide to stop doing that. You spent your whole life being a bully, 24 years being a bully. And in the 25th year, you said, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to be nice to people. Now, people that knew you for those first 24 years, they might remember that person. They might see you in a store and go in the other direction. They might tell their friends, hey, this was like a horrible person in my life. And you might be that thing to that person, but you have the opportunity to not be that thing to the next person. And as long as you're alive, you can go in the right direction. We live in a society where people say the right direction is up to your opinion. And in many cases, that's not true. It's not right to murder. It's not right to steal. It's not right to disrespect. It's not right to spit on somebody. It's not right to swear and yell and scream at somebody. There are things that I would like to believe are always not great, right? But then people come back to you and go, well, what if I murder someone because they try to take something from me? What if I steal because I don't have any money? And I would always say to you, does taking a life bring a life back? No. There's no Lazarus effect. Well, someone took my kid, so then I went and found them and I killed that person. Okay. Well, does that change what happened to your kid? If they killed your kid, does that bring your child back? It's not right what they did, but two wrongs will never make a right. And I feel like, somebody says, well, I wouldn't have any money, so I had to steal food to eat. I would say, okay, well, but you stole money from that business owner. Well, they can deal with it. Well, not if everybody steals. If everybody has the mentality that you have, I'm poor, I need to steal. Now this person has no product, no money, and now they're poor. So now all you did was just create another poor person. People want to talk about circumstance every time. Well, I was in the circumstance, so I had to. I was in the circumstance, so I had to. God doesn't say, be a good person when it's convenient. Be a good person when you can. Be a good person when you have the money. Be a good person when you have the resources. That's not said in the Bible. If anything, God says, I'm going to strip you of everything and I'm going to see who you are. What did he do to Job? I'm going to take everything. And when you think it can't get any worse, it gets worse. And then it gets worse. And then it gets worse. Because I want to see if you're going to keep praying to me. I'm going to see if you believe in me. Because I've given you everything and you believe in me. And that's easy. Right? I got everything in the world. Why wouldn't I believe? I'm going to take it all away from you, and I'm going to see, do you curse me? Do you hate me? Do you believe in me? Will you stay with me? I tell people all the time, if I lost my house and I had Lily, I'd live in a box under a bridge. And then people are like, okay, go live in a box under a bridge. Prove it to me. What I'm saying to you is, my house is not more important than the love within it. There's no material thing that is more important than the value of a true friend who becomes a brother or a sister. There is no amount of money that would take the place of being a godparent or being an uncle. Having your friends choose to call you a brother, to treat you as a brother, to look and see no difference between biological and choice, regard you as a brother, and raise their children to know you as their uncle or aunt or whatever, if you're a sister to somebody. When you look at your life and you're determining if you matter, if you determine it about money, money will always change. So you're going to matter sometimes and you're not going to matter other times. And as much money as you have, somebody might have more than you. So you're never going to truly matter completely. You're not going to be at the top of the game all the time. You might never be at the top of the game, right? You got $1 million, somebody's got 2. You got 2, they got 10. You got 10, they got $1 trillion. You're always chasing somebody. And when you compare yourself to other people, you're not going to see your worth. When you compare your circumstances to other people, you're not going to see your worth. When you judge your life's worth and your worth based on materials, you're not going to see your worth. When you base it on power, you're not going to see your worth. See, because people think power is equal to you matter. Money is equal to you matter. Having the hottest girlfriend or boyfriend is equal to you matter. Having the biggest house is equal to you matter. Having the most listeners is equal to you matter. That's not true. It's the quality of the person. It's how you see yourself. How many people in Hollywood have committed suicide? And how terrible that is. But think about it. They had money, power, resources. Some of them were at the top of the mountain of their game. Why would they kill themselves? They had it all. According to some people that say money, power, prestige, notoriety, that's what matters. Millions of people know your name. You travel the world. You're successful. You make a ton of money. But you chose to not be here. So if the perception is money, power, prestige, and notoriety makes you important, then why didn't those people think that they mattered? You don't take your life thinking that you matter. You take your life when you feel like you don't. And how could you know, Dan? Well, I've had 2 friends take their lives. One old enough to be my dad, another one old enough to probably be my son. Or young enough to be my son, I should say. Knowing that you matter in a world that tells you numbers, and you always have to have more. Yeah, always have to have more likes, more listeners, more viewers, more followers, more readers, more subscribers, more money, more power, more prestige. More people have to know your name. More people have to come to the movie. If it made $2 billion, your next one has to make $2.1 billion. If you make $2.1 billion, your next one has to make $3 million. Or $2 billion to $2.1 billion to $3 billion. If you live in a world where everything is externally affected, you're not going to matter to yourself. You're only going to matter when other people tell you that you matter. And newsflash, someone could tell you you matter today at 11 a.m. and at noon, on to the next one. And So the fact that you matter, in my opinion, comes from the fact that you were created in the beginning in general. God created you. You matter. You have a soul. You matter. You have life. You matter. You have to find that. Every human being has to find that value within themselves. If you don't, then this world is going to determine your value all the time, and it's going to rise and fall sometimes by the second. If you decide how much you matter based on other people's opinions of you and external sources, you're going to be the stock market. One day you're worth 100, tomorrow it's 40, then it's 20, then it's 10, then it's 150, then it's 1,000, then it's 12. People are not the stock market. And when we connect ourselves with followers and listeners and viewers and readers and subscribers and how much money do you have, what's in your bank account, how many people know you, we put ourselves in the stock market. And that's where jealousy comes from, because someone's going to be the top stock that day. That's where people go to the ledge because someone's going to be the bottom stock that day. And I would ask you the question, if you've seen people that you look up to make all this money, have all this notoriety, be popular and cool and special and important according to millions and millions of viewers and subscribers, why have those people taken their lives? If you don't love yourself, nothing can fill that void. Nothing can fill that void. Some people go to alcohol. Some people go to drugs. Some people go to physical touch. Some people go to money. Some people go to things. Some people run away. But no matter how far you run, nothing is going to fill the void. Nothing is going to fill the void until you decide to fill the void yourself. The harsh reality of life is, if you don't work on yourself and you don't determine your value, this world will continue to bite away at who you are until there's nothing left. People don't give up on life because they value themselves. They give up on life because they don't. And someone somewhere told them they're not worthy of them, and they determined that they weren't. You know, sitting with a teenager at his bed, holding his hand a couple days before he passed away on an attempt to take his life. You really start to think about every moment you let the world get you, and you're looking at this kid going, this could have been me. I could have been here with a bunch of people crying and screaming and not knowing why. Why did not value himself? Why didn't she value themselves? So I come to you today telling you that you matter because you do. Come to you today telling you that your life is precious because it is, but you have to determine your worth. Your mom can't, your dad can't, your brother and sister can't, your girlfriend and boyfriend and husband and wife and fiance, your best friend, your neighbor, your boss, your peers, your fellow employees. They can't. And I know that because I've gone in this life and I've dated women who I saw tremendous value in, and they did not value themselves. And no matter what I did, they ran. The nicer I was to them, it didn't matter. More consistently nice I was, didn't matter. People who do not value themselves will run from the people that value them. I'm going to say that again. People that do not value themselves will run from the people that value them. And then they'll complain that nobody values them. And they'll run right into the arms of people that devalue them again. And they'll continue to complain, but they won't change until they want to. So if you are out there saying, I'm a good person, I'm kind to people, I love people, I try my hardest, I do things the right way, I'm honest, I have faith, I trust in God, I don't have an ego, I help people, I treat people the way I want to be treated, don't stop doing those things. 38 years, and it never clicked with me until maybe right now, when they say the way that people treat you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Because you see people treat people horribly, and people love them and chase them and do anything that they possibly can to be with these people that are absolutely terrible toward them. And then you see people that treat someone incredibly, and they ghost that person. You have that friend that's always there for you, and you ignore them. And you chase that friend that never asks you to do anything, never calls you. You always call them. You're not their first choice. If they're bored and they have nothing else to do and everybody else didn't have something cool in mind, they'll hang out with you. When you know what you're worth, you stop hanging around people that treat you like a plan B. When you know your worth, you stop chasing people that say that they want something good, but their actions show you otherwise. When you matter to yourself, when you value yourself, you stop being in situations with people that don't treat you with respect and dignity and appreciation and care and love and concern and empathy. If you have a friend that you can call at 10 p.m. and at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're still on the phone and you're laughing and you're joking and you're crying and you're learning and you're understanding and you're giving each other advice, you got a real one. But if you call someone and you text someone and you get no response, and you look at your text message thing and you go, I just sent 3 in a row, 5 in a row. Stop sending messages, because the message has been sent back to you. You just can't read it, because silence is deafening. When somebody does not respond to you, right? Yeah, they might be working. Yeah, they might be busy. Yeah, they might have an emergency. Yeah, there might be something going on. But if someone never does, if you don't hear anything ever, if days go by and weeks go by, that's an answer. And you say, well, dang it, I thought I mattered. You do. And just because you don't matter to someone doesn't mean you don't matter. And I think that's the biggest conundrum in life, is we think if this person doesn't value us, then we don't have any value. Instead of realizing that some people might see your value, but they don't think they can afford it because they don't value themselves. Some people might go, wow, that person's so good. I can't connect to them. I'll bring them down. I'm dramatic. I got all this stuff in my life. When you learn to put yourself together, when you learn to take care of yourself, when you wipe your own butt, when you make your own food, when you wash your own dishes, when you do your own laundry, when you take care of yourself, you start to realize that your value has to come from within. God gave you value. If you looked at yourself the way that God looks at you, you would never, ever devalue yourself. Even when you're a pain in the butt. But when you look to other people, places, and things to determine your value, you just become another stock in the market, and you will go up and down on things that have nothing to do with you. But when you value yourself consistently, when life does its ups and downs, you have a consistent... What do they say about people that play sports? They say, man, that person never gets too high or too low. When they score 40, same face as when they score 2. And people always look up to those people. Consistency. Consistently valuing yourself. Not sitting there and going, well, I matter today because I had 10 people come to my locker to interview me, but I didn't matter 3 days before because nobody came to my locker. It's got nothing to do with who comes to your locker. It's got nothing to do with who wants to hang out. It's got nothing to do with that person that said, yeah, I'll go on a date with you. You have to value yourself. And when you value yourself from the inside out, you start to attract the energy of people that value you too. And you start to realize the ones that don't, and you do not spend time with those people. Because when you know your value, you do not allow yourself to be in rooms where you are not valued. You matter. All of you. Every single one of you. Share this message with a friend. Share it with a family member. Share it with a worker, a neighbor, a stranger. When you know your worth, you stop hanging around in rooms that don't see it. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. These have been the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the terrific team at Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. They are open Tuesday through Sunday weekly for lunch, dinner, and drinks. As always, drink responsibly, and you can get in touch with them on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. You can also reach out to them by calling 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. And for takeout, delivery, and catering, for information, you can also go to myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. With that being said, we will take our final step aside inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. When Wake Up Call comes back, we will finish up today's broadcast and bid you adieu. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is our sports card and hobby card shop of choice. Make your way over to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. You will find them 7 days a week. They are open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. A fantastic place with literally everything that you need. GG Cards and Breaks. If you've never collected cards before, great place to start and learn. If you've collected your whole life, great place to continue what you love to do. So GG Cards and Breaks, it's about creating memories. It's about great customer service. It's about people that love and have a passion for it, open packs themselves, open boxes themselves, and have a great time doing it. It's that love and that connection to what they do and why they do what they do. And I can tell you this, from sitting with Josh and Anthony, if they didn't love it, you wouldn't see everything that you see. And I absolutely am grateful for every day and all the work that they put in at GG Cards and Breaks, giving me something that I didn't know if I'd ever have again. And the fact that I have this and I can share this with other people in my hometown, in my community, means more to me than I can say. GG Cards and Breaks, hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer, football, all sport, AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic. You'll find it all at GG Cards and Breaks while supplies last. And of course, product is constantly changing, evolving, coming in, going out. So if you see that single you like, that graded card you like, that pack, that box, don't wait on it. Head over to GG Cards and Breaks today and experience the difference on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. A place that feels like home, feels just great. You can be a big kid. If you're a kid, you can be a kid. If you're an adult, you can still be a kid. And when I tell you that every single day I want to go in, it's because of the people. It's because of the awesome things that they do, the products that they have. You want to help people that you trust, you appreciate, and you respect. So when I say go to GG Cards and Breaks, I'm saying that to you. I trust them, I respect them, I value them, and I absolutely love their passion, their drive, and their care for each other, for you, and for our community. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios with us. Heritage Hill Brewhouse in Pompey. You will find them on 3149 Suite Road in Pompey, New York. You'll also find Heritage Hill North, their newest location, on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York at Sweetheart Corners. So make sure you head off there today. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. Mon Paz is the snack capital of the world. You can find them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And whatever taste bud you go to. If you utilize all them taste buds, if you only use that, you want that savory one, you want that sweet, whatever it is, when it comes to your mouth going, what type of amazing did you just bring into our lives? That's coming from Mon Paz. Lemonade, made there. Cotton candy, made there. Freeze-dried candy, right there. Over 70 flavors of popcorn, kettle corn, right there. Chocolate dip this, chocolate dip that, right there. Mon Paz is the snack capital of the world. If you're not in the community, go to monpazpopcorn.com. If you're in the community, go to Mon Paz on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool and let them know that DT sent you. Big time thanks to my very good friend of many, many years. He's always been good to me. Tim Lester, Iowa Hawkeyes Offensive Coordinator in his first season with Iowa. Lytoya Baker, many years of getting to know her and being around her. You can't help but root for her. Binghamton Bearcats Video Coordinator, starting her career in coaching under Mary Grimes, who she played for at Moyne. This Bearcat joining us here today, following the news of her becoming a member of the coaching staff for Binghamton University Bearcats women's basketball. And of course, the ingredients to success about knowing that you matter, proudly presented by the fantastic team that lets you know you matter every time you walk through the door, that being Avicolli's. So thank you to Jerry, who said very insightful lad. Jerry, I like the word I like the fact that you use the word lad, because it's uniquely you, and I appreciate it. So thank you for that. You're with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You know that we're typically staying with you past 11 because I feel like it, because I love what I do and I do what I love, and I love sharing time with people, including you. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, you can hop into the archive, hang out with us there. We're going to be adding stuff there today, so look out for that. And that is right there with you on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to subscribe and click follow or whatever you need to click on whichever these apps that you go to so that you never miss a show with us again. You can visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York, and I implore you to do so because we don't just work with businesses. We work with businesses we trust, businesses that I truly believe are led by people that are doing things with morals and values and the importance of family and community and doing things with goodness in their hearts. Heritage Hill Brewhouse, Heritage Hill North, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicolli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Ma and Pa's, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call. You will find the Dolphins during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with AD and DT and Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. All of our content is on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and on that you can find us subscribe as well as click the notification bell, and you'll find the Lemoyne channel right there. On our YouTube channel, you'll find Lemoyne's playlist. And, of course, you can also find Lemoyne by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. And, as always, fins up. The the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are the exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse in two awesome locations. In Syracuse on James Street, very easy to get to as you're going down the hill toward the city. You'll also find them right across the street from some good eating, right across the street from Avicolli's off of Route 57 in Liverpool, New York. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year, men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, who have each won national championships, and of course in the world of baseball and esports. You will find these coaches, student athletes, and administration by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find your Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go and find Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse on syracuse.bscbobcats.com. That's syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find your Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, like today with Lytoya Baker. You will find the Bearcats in our monthly specials, Moments with Marshall, featuring the athletics director of Binghamton University, Gene Marshall. You will also find the Bearcat Breakroom, like you did today, with student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories. You'll find all of this content on our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton University playlist. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com. And as always, go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I think I really want you to just know how much you matter. I thank Tim for showing me that. I thank Lytoya for showing me that. I thank Avicolli's and their staff led by John Fratto shows me that. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, safe and sound, surrounded by love. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, wakeupcalldt.com. And of course, folks, God bless, no stress. Do your best. Have a wonderful, wonderful day from the Heritage Hill Studios